This beetle is a living jewel. It gleams on a summer rose like a drop of emerald. And yet that beautiful green color does not truly exist. Underneath the shine, this beetle is actually plain black. Gardeners crush it as a pest, mistaking it for something else. Here on WildPlanetTV, the familiar stops being what it seems, so subscribe, because almost nothing about this beetle is what it appears. It shines with a twisted light that no human eye can see. This is the rose chafer, and its color is a beautiful lie. Let us begin with that impossible, glowing emerald green shine. On a warm June day, it sits on an open rose. Turn it slowly in the sun, and the magic begins. The green suddenly spills into gold, then copper, then deep crimson. It looks like a living drop of molten metal on a flower. Everyone who sees it wants to call it a lovely green. And here waits the very first trap of this creature. In this beetle, there is no green color at all. Grind its shell into a fine powder, as old labs did. The resulting powder comes out dark, a dull brownish black. Every last trace of that emerald simply vanishes into nothing. There is color, but there is no pigment producing it. To understand this, remember what color usually really is at all. A green leaf or a red apple is dyed by pigment. Special substances soak up some light and reflect the rest. But this beetle builds its color from shape, not substance. Under a microscope, its shell is not one solid layer. It is dozens of clear layers stacked one upon another. Each layer is turned a tiny bit from the one below, like a spiral staircase of impossibly thin, transparent glass sheets. Each layer reflects a little sunlight, and the reflections combine. Together, they reinforce the green, and green is what we see. Physicists call this quietly astonishing effect a structural color, pure geometry, building a shine no pigment could ever match. But the strangeness of this color runs even deeper still. The same trick paints the wing of the morpho butterfly. It also glows in the shifting throat of a hummingbird. You have seen it in oil shimmering on a puddle. Wherever color shifts as you turn it, structure is hiding. So the beetle's emerald is, in a sense, an illusion, a green that exists only where light meets clever geometry. And the beetle hides one more secret inside that light. It reflects the sunlight twisted into a tight spiral shape. Scientists call this rare hidden effect circularly polarized light. The human eye simply cannot perceive this twist at all. Without special filters, we simply never see this hidden signal. So who exactly is that spiraled message actually meant for? Astonishingly, science still does not really know the answer. The beetle may signal to others of its own kind, or it may be a message with no reader at all. Now, for the mistake that costs this beetle its life, ask 10 people to name a big beetle from summer.
Most will confidently answer that it is a maybug. The maybug, or cockchafer, became a name for everything. Any large beetle now dies under that single mistaken label. So let us finally separate these two very different insects. The clues are far easier to read than you think. Start with the simplest visible difference of all, the appearance. The cockchafer wears a dull, matte, dusty reddish-brown coat. It looks dusty and almost velvety, and it never shines. Our rose chafer, by sharp contrast, gleams like polished metal. If a beetle glints green or gold, it is no cockchafer. Next, look very closely at the antennae on each beetle. The cockchafer flaunts a large fan of plates up front. It waves that open fan to smell the evening air. The rose chafer keeps its antennae short and tucked away. Often they hide beneath the rim of its shining shell. Then there is the matter of when each one flies. The cockchafer is a heavy flyer of the dusk and dark. It is the beetle that blunders into your lit window. The rose chafer is a creature of bright, sunlit noon. You find it basking on flowers, never at a street lamp. But the fiercest argument about them happens down underground, and it is entirely about their fat, pale, buried larvae. Both grubs are plump, white, and curled like the letter C. At a glance, the two look almost impossible to tell apart. Almost, but not quite. And that difference changes everything here. The cockchafer grub is larger, with a big, dark head. It has strong legs and powerful root-chewing jaws as well. It feeds on the living roots of plants and young trees.
It gnaws through seedlings and strawberries like a hidden plague. This grub truly can ruin an entire garden bed underground. The rose chafer larva is built along completely different lines. Its head is smaller and its little jaws are weak. It does one of the strangest things in the insect world. When it moves, this grub crawls along on its own back. It rolls over and travels upside down through the soil, and crucially, it never touches the living roots of plants. Instead, it eats dead leaves, rotting wood, and decaying matter. It is not a pest at all, but a quiet recycler. It turns that dead material into rich, dark, living soil. A single larva spends about 3 years down in the dark. 3 long years of patient work, cleaning and enriching the earth. Some even move into the nests of ants to live. There they clear away waste, and the ants seem to allow it. So the fat grub is no freeloader stealing from the garden. It is a cleaner, laboring inside a city that is not its own. The beautiful beetle we so often crush was helping all along. It asks for nothing but a little rot and shade. And its talents do not end there, down in the soil. Watch a rose chafer take off and you will notice something. Most beetles must first heave open their hard wing cases. They lift that heavy armor up and out of the way. Only then can they unfold the flying wings hidden beneath.
It is a clumsy, slow, and rather ungainly way to launch. But the rose chafer has solved this problem entirely. It keeps its gleaming metallic armor clamped firmly shut. Instead, it slips its wings out through 2 small side slits. The shell stays closed and smooth as it rises into the air. This makes it a far cleaner and more agile flyer. It flies better than almost any other beetle alive. You may have seen it cruising fast between the flowers, a polished green bullet humming through the summer garden, all while wearing a suit of armor that never opens. It is elegant engineering we are only beginning to admire. If that impresses you, comment the word flight right now. But the rose chafer matters for far more than its beauty. It sits at the heart of a hidden web of life. Follow the energy, and it starts with the fallen leaves. The larva turns that dead litter into food and soil, and the larva itself becomes food for many hungry hunters. A plump grub is a rich, easy, and tempting meal. Badgers, foxes, and hedgehogs dig eagerly through the soil for them. Moles tunnel below too, hunting the same soft, nourishing prey. This buried feast matters most in the depths of winter. When the world above is frozen, the ground still holds food. Woodpeckers chisel into rotting stumps to reach the sleeping grubs. One old stump can feed a woodpecker through a bitter day. In summer, the adult beetles take their turn as prey. Fast hunters snatch them straight out of the warm air.
Bee-eaters, shrikes, and flycatchers catch them in mid-flight. A glinting beetle is a bright, worthwhile target to a bird. It even carries tiny hitchhiking mites upon its own body. So both underground and in the sky, it feeds others. It is a single link in a long, rising chain. Energy climbs from a dead leaf up to a fox or bird, from the soil to the grub to the hungry woodpecker. Pull that one link out and the whole web shudders. Nothing in that quiet living garden truly stands alone, and that fragile web is now under a serious threat. Across the whole world, scientists are raising a quiet alarm. The insects of the earth are vanishing at a frightening rate. The most famous warning came from a long German study. For 27 years, researchers weighed the flying insects they caught. They worked patiently across dozens of protected nature reserves. The total weight of those insects had fallen by 3/4. In high summer, the collapse was even steeper than that. In one lifetime, 3 of every 4 flying insects disappeared. And this was ordinary European countryside, not distant jungle. It is the very nature that lies beyond your own window. So where does our shining rose chafer stand in this? For now, thankfully, this species is still fairly common overall. But in some regions, it is already beginning to struggle. In some places, it is now listed as locally protected. That is a small, early warning bell of a larger loss.
Fewer beetles means hungrier woodpeckers and poorer, thinner soil. Pull one thread and the entire living fabric trembles. If this worries you, share it with someone who gardens. But here is the genuinely hopeful part of the story. Saving this web asks almost nothing at all of us. The rose chafer larva needs something wonderfully, almost absurdly simple. Do not sweep away every last fallen leaf in autumn. Do not rush to dig up and burn an old stump. Do not drench every single flower and corner in poison. A rotting log left quietly in a shaded corner helps. A pile of unraked leaves becomes a home and a pantry. A patch of long, uncut grass shelters a whole community. That is not untidiness or plain laziness on your part. It is a table set for the small lives beneath us. Sometimes the kindest act is a little less human order. So we can at last answer the gardener's oldest question: is this glittering little beetle a friend or a foe? The honest answer is more interesting than a simple yes. Underground, the rose chafer is nothing but quiet, pure good. Its larva enriches the soil and feeds half the garden. Above ground, it is a mild and harmless little prankster. It may nibble a petal or taste a soft, ripe fruit, but it comes alone and never kills the plant it visits. And in return, it quietly pollinates the flowers it touches. The real harm comes from small, dull, swarming flower beetles. They arrive in dense crowds and overwhelm the blossoms together.
A big, lone, shining beetle is the harmless emerald one. The small spotted ones in mobs are the true pests. So please, stop punishing the beautiful one for another's crimes. Do not run at this living jewel with a heavy spade. You are looking at a 3-year worker out in the light, a flying jewel, a soil maker, and a small living riddle. And that riddle brings us back to its twisted light. Why does it shine in a signal it cannot even see? For now, honestly, science simply does not have an answer. For millions of years, it has worn a message of light, a message that may be meant for no one at all. In a world obsessed with purpose, that mystery feels precious. So the next time a green jewel lands on your roses, pause and remember everything hiding beneath that impossible shine. It has earned a long look, far more than a stomp. And if this beetle can hide so much in plain sight, imagine the secrets coiled inside our next hunter's many legs. Our next animal has dozens of legs and a venomous bite. Next time, the centipede, a fast and ancient nocturnal predator. If this changed how you see the rose chafer, subscribe and stay wild.